Good morning, my friends. This is Deepak, continuing our daily exploration of reality during this time of the COVID pandemic. And of course, we are all sheltering, taking precautions, physical distancing, and doing everything, I hope, to decrease inflammation in the body and optimize our immune functioning through the pillars of well-being, deep rest as in sleep, stress management as in meditation and mindfulness, and yoga and deep breathing, a little bit of movement, healthy emotions and relationships, clean diet, and gratitude for what we have, for existence. And finally, love in action. But today, I want to continue with all the things that we are talking about right now. The need for going beyond existential anxiety and human suffering and the fear of death. Because if we conquer that, then everything else is a breeze. We need to understand the mechanics of existential anxiety, which is, of course, linked to not knowing who we are, grasping, clinging, recoiling, resistance, identifying with the ego, and basically the fear of separation and being lonely that leads to all kinds of stresses and panic and ultimately all kinds of anxieties that have to do with the fear of the unknown and with the fact that what we deal with every day is actually unpredictable. The pandemic has only made it more obvious. Embracing unpredictability and uncertainty, in fact, might be the mechanics for every creative solution. And so right now we have the opportunity. But having said that, let's continue with today's topic. And today's topic is I am generates reality through stillness and dynamism. Its activity is seer, seeing, and scenery. Now, this sounds very metaphysical, very abstract, and totally not even practical. But actually, the experiential knowledge of I am is the solution to every problem in the world, including all existential suffering and fear of death. So I am generates reality. I am is pure potentiality. I am is infinite stillness that is pregnant with infinite dynamism. Once again, I am is immeasurable potential of all that was, all that is, all that will be. I am is pregnant at all times with infinite possibilities and pregnant at all times with the imminence of actuality, of the experience of what we call everyday reality. And I am is constantly oscillating between stillness and dynamism. And all creation is a manifestation of this dance between stillness and dynamism. So I am is prior to all experience, including the experience of a personal self and also the experience of what we call the objects. So the personal self we can call right now the seer. And what we experience outside or seemingly outside, we can call scenery. I am the seer and everything I observe is the scenery, but the scenery includes my body because I can observe my body. Okay, scenery includes those paintings behind me And scenery includes every appearance that shows up on the screen of consciousness, which is I am. And what we need to realize at this I am is interacting with its own self and producing in every perceptual experience both the seer and the scenery. So every act perception produces a unique seer and a unique scenery. The continuity to that experience is the presence of being between every snapshot of perception. So I am knows itself as the seer, the scenery, and the process of seeing. I am knows itself as the observer, the observed, and the process of observing. I am is the knower, the process of knowing, and the known. However we want to phrase it. So when I say seeing or observing or knowing, it's the same thing. Or even we can say measuring experience. I am measures experience and then metabolizes the experience into what we call everyday reality. And the most fundamental way I am knows experience, most fundamental way, is what we call sensing, sense experience. And the grossest expression of that sense experience is perceptual activity, okay, which is sound, colors, shapes, forms, tastes, smells, textures. That's fundamental. You can take any experience and break it up into its perceptual components. So let's say I show you this beautiful statue. It's the divine feminine, the goddess of compassion. So that's the meaning given to this perceptual experience. The perceptual experience on the level of seeing is just colors, shapes, and forms, as are those paintings, as is everything in the background that you see, including me, colors, shapes, and form. But as soon as we give it a name or give it a meaning, it becomes an object. Now this is a statue, okay? Statue of the divine feminine, the goddess of compassion, Tara. Or I look at another so-called object. The experience perceptually is colors, shapes, and forms, like everything else, perceptually. On the tactile level, it's sensation. I could smell and taste it. I could make sounds with it. But the moment I give meaning to this experience, it becomes an object. It becomes something out there. In fact, it's a perceptual activity in here meaning in consciousness. And not only is it a perceptual activity in consciousness, it's a modification of consciousness as that, as this, as that painting, as you, as me, as everything else. So I am is the source of this experience, that experience, what you're hearing, what you're interpreting, etc. Perceptual activity gives us the construct of the material physical world. But then there's another activity that is happening behind that perceptual activity. It's what we call feeling. Feelings are more energetic. They're like sensations both inside the body, but also they're thoughts linked to sensations in the body, but thoughts that are entangled with perception. And that's the movement prana that Eastern wisdom traditions call vital energy. It's a little more subtle than physical energy, or physical energy that we defined as matter. But we know that matter is also energy, and energy is the movement of, of consciousness, actually, as it knows itself symbolically as activity. And that activity in every act of perception produces a unique seer, a unique scenery, and a unique process of seeing. Seeing is fundamental. The seer and the scenery are produced in every act of seeing. Every act of seeing. Perception is the activity, and the perceiver and that which is perceived is produced in every act of perception. Feeling is the activity, emotion, which is entangled with the perception that we call the physical world. But feeling generates emotions, which is a subtle form of experience. So the gross form of experience is what we call matter. A little subtler form of experience is what we call feeling. Even more subtle than that is thought. Thought, because thought is even more refined entanglement of perception and feeling given meaning. Thought gives meaning to perceptions, sensations, feelings, and by giving it meaning, it constructs, conceives, becomes the physical world. So thought is even more subtle than feeling. And what is more subtle than feeling is what we call archetypal divine experiences of higher consciousness. Truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, joy, equanimity, insight, intuition, inspiration, vision, creativity, anything that we want to, we can imagine. So that is even more fundamental, the archetypal level. And these statues that I'm showing you, these are archetypal symbols of higher consciousness. So we can go into details into how we can actualize the experience of these archetypal symbols of consciousness. This is one of my favorites, Ganesh. And every aspect of that Ganesh symbolically represents a quality of consciousness. So all the way through, from perception to feeling to thought to intuition to insight to creativity to vision to higher calling to what can be possibly created, these are subtler levels of activity of I am. I am at every level produces an experience. And when you move your hands, that is changing sensations, transforming sensations. And when you just pay attention and listen, that is being aware of sensations. And by sensations, I mean perceptions, images, feelings, thoughts, everything that we call experience. We metabolize that experience through attention and intention into the creation of everyday reality. And in every activity of seeing or perceiving or observing or measuring, we create the experience of a unique process of seeing, a unique scenery. When we think only from a very limited perspective of the ego mind, then there's separation, there's fear, there's existential anxiety, there's even the fear of death, because the separate mind is a provisional mind, constantly changing. Constantly changing. There's every act of perception, every thought, every feeling, every sensation actually creates a new you and a new scenery and a new experience. It's our destiny to create infinite experiences, multi-dimensions of space and time, if we only understand that I am is fundamental. It's before I am Deepak Chopra, before this object of experience, before I can even see the Milky Way galaxy or a starlit sky. All that is nothing other than modifications of I am as a process called sensing, sense perceptions, sensations, interoception, imagination, feeling, thought, all entangled into the construction of reality. All entangled into the construction of reality. So reality is a projection of I am. And I am projects reality as infinite knowers, infinite modes of knowing, and infinite things known eternally and timelessly in what we call here and now. And all we have to do is settle, sink into I am, and choose possibilities. Choose possibilities. And we choose possibilities by choosing sensations, and by actually the alchemy of sensation is you change sensations. Motor activity is changing sensations. Sensory activity is paying attention to sensations. And attention and intention are the triggers for transformation and manifestation. Infinite manifestations. What is born and dies in timeless now is a sensation. That's it. And that is happening eternally and now. What is not born and what never dies is that which modifies itself into sensations. Sensations mean all entanglement of sense, perceptions, feelings, images, thoughts, all of that is entangled sensations. So that was the basis of the stop formula. Anytime you're stressed, stop, take 3 deep breaths, observe the sensations, and then move with awareness in the direction of sensation that brings you joy, that brings you love, that actually maximizes the emergence of platonic values and platonic truths, goodness, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, joy, equanimity. That's where consciousness is evolving. That's the direction. Ultimately, it's evolving to the manifestation of its own perfection. And its own perfection is infinite silence and infinite dynamism at the same time. Infinite dynamism, infinite silence at the same time. Being and becoming. Being and becoming. And everything in between. This is not good enough intellectually. We have to experience this. And this is the whole purpose of what we call yoga. Settle into being, look at possibilities, and choose in the direction of creativity. Because creativity, by the way, every quality that we mention of consciousness is a non-local quality. And yet we have the experience of locality because we identify with an activity called perception that creates the seer and the scenery, the separation. You say, why does consciousness do that? If it's one and infinite and full of bliss, and why does it do that? Well, because consciousness conceives experience. And the only way it can conceive experience is through separation. Without separation, there is no experience. Okay? Potentiality has no experience. It's pregnant with possibility as experience. So, manifestation requires separation. But creativity requires going back to the undifferentiated state of consciousness in which there is no separation. Going back to the source, going back to the presence in which sensations arise and subside. And our job, choose the right sensations, attention, intention. So I hope that has helped you a little bit today. We can go into each of these levels of experience: physical, subtle as feelings, subtle as thought, subtle as intuition, subtler as creativity, subtle as insight, inspiration, and ultimately the subtlest, the infinitely still domain of infinite modes of knowing and experience. That is life. Life is the continuum of modes of knowing and experience, the continuum of birth and death in every moment, and the knowing that I am is always timeless, here, and eternally now. So I was thinking, let's choose a mantra that kind of encompasses this. And today's mantra is Siddhoham. Siddhoham. S-I-D-O-H. Hum. Siddhoham. Mantras are seed intentions of archetypal awareness and consciousness. So this mantra, Siddhoham, is the intention that says, I am awakened. The mantra affirms that present awareness is respect, open, whole, and accepting. Nothing is missing or lacking in your being. This mantra asserts the truth that you're complete just as you are right now. This truth is what gives you your sense of self and self-esteem and gives you a necessary place in the universe. Siddhoham, Siddhoham. I am moving towards the awakened life, which also means meta-human. Meta means beyond, human beyond the conditioned human mind. So thank you again for listening today. I'm thrilled that you are here every day. And I'm receiving your feedback from all over the world. And it's mostly good. So while we're shooting the breeze, we're also feeling a little better. And hopefully that allays anxiety and helps us move to higher levels of knowing and experience. Thank you. Siddhoham.